162. Li Guangbi's decisive victory over Shih. After the Tang dynasty reclaimed both Chang'an and Luoyang, and Qingxiu fled to Hebei, where he occupied 60 cities and continued his resistance, Emperor Suzong decided to launch a major military campaign against him. This time, the Tang army gathered a massive force of 600,000 soldiers, led by 9 military governors, Jidushi. The question arose, who would command this vast army? Based on rank and military prestige, Guozi and Li Guangbi were the most qualified. However, Emperor Suzong, deeply distrustful and fearful of his generals accumulating too much power, refused to appoint a single supreme commander. Instead, he placed the eunuch Yu Chaoyan, a man with no military experience, as the inspector general of the army, Guanjuanrongshi, giving him the authority to oversee and direct the 9 governors. A disastrous defeat at Yi City. When the Tang forces besieged Yi City, Shih led his troops from Fanyang to reinforce in Qingxiu. The Tang army prepared for a decisive battle, but before they could form ranks, a violent storm arose, filling the air with dust and sand, plunging the battlefield into darkness. The lack of centralized command led to chaos. The 9 armies, like a frightened herd of horses, fled in disarray. The Tang suffered a humiliating defeat, and Yu Chaoyan shifted all the blame onto Guozi. Emperor Suzong, believing Yu's accusations, stripped Guozi of his title as Jidushi of Shuofang and replaced him with Li Guangbi. Shih kills in Qingxiu and declares himself emperor. At this time, internal conflicts erupted within the rebel forces. Shih assassinated in Qingxiu in Yi City and declared himself the emperor of the Great Yin dynasty. He then reorganized his army and marched toward Luoyang. When Li Guangbi arrived in Luoyang, local officials, terrified by Shih formidable army, proposed retreating to Tong Pass. Li Guangbi, however, disagreed. Our forces are evenly matched. If we retreat, the enemy will only become more arrogant. Instead, we should relocate to Heian, modern Mengxian, Hunan, a strategic position that allows us both to attack and defend. He ordered the complete evacuation of Luoyang's officials and civilians, then led his troops to Heian. When Shih army entered Luoyang, they found it empty. There were no people, no supplies, and nothing to plunder. Fearful of a surprise attack, Shih withdrew his forces to the southern outskirts of Heian, where he built fortifications and faced off against the Tang army. Li Guangbi's cunning tactics. As an experienced general, Li Guangbi knew he was outnumbered and decided to rely on strategy rather than brute force. He learned that Shih army had 1,000 warhorses from Hebei, which were taken to the riverbank daily for bathing and grazing. Li Guangbi devised a plan. He gathered a large herd of mares and kept their foals tied in the stables. The next time the rebel warhorses were at the riverbank, he released the mares. The mares mingled with the enemy horses, and after a while, they neighed for their foals and ran back to the Tang camp. The enemy warhorses followed them. Over 1,000 horses were captured without a fight. Furious, Shih ordered a naval assault, sending hundreds of warships up the river. The fleet was led by a fire ship intended to burn down the Tang army's floating bridge. Anticipating this, Li Guangbi prepared hundreds of long bamboo poles with iron-covered tips. When the fire ship approached, Tang soldiers used the bamboo poles to push it back, preventing it from reaching the bridge. The fire ship caught fire and sank, destroying several enemy vessels. Meanwhile, the Tang forces launched stone catapults, bombarding the enemy ships. Rebel soldiers suffered heavy casualties, some drowned, while others fled to shore in panic. After several failed attempts, Shih was forced to retreat. The battle for Heian. Determined to turn the tide, Shih launched a full-scale assault. He personally led an elite force against Heian's southern city. He sent his top general, Zhou Ji, to attack Heian's northern city with a massive army. At dawn, Li Guangbi climbed the northern city walls and saw a vast sea of enemy soldiers advancing in formation. His subordinates, though silent, were clearly uneasy. Sensing their fear, Li Guangbi reassured them. Do not be afraid. The rebels may be numerous, but their formations are disorganized. Their arrogance will be their downfall. By noon, we will have victory." He ordered his troops to split into multiple attack groups. Although his forces fought bravely, the enemy kept reinforcing their ranks. As the sun reached its peak, neither side had gained the upper hand. Li Guangbi gathered his officers and asked, "Which parts of the enemy formation are the strongest?" His generals replied, "The northwest and southeast corners." He nodded and immediately deployed 500 cavalrymen in 2 groups to strike those weak points. Then, he addressed his remaining soldiers. "Watch my flag for signals. If I wave it slowly, you may move freely. If I wave it rapidly and drop it, that is the order for a full attack. When that moment comes, charge forward with everything you have, no retreat." Drawing a dagger from his boot, he declared, "This battle is life or death. As a minister of the Tang dynasty, I will never surrender to the rebels. If you fall in battle, I will take my own life right here." The soldiers, inspired by his words, charged into battle with renewed vigor. Midway through the fight, General Hao Tingyu suddenly retreated from the front lines. Li Guangbi immediately ordered his execution for desertion. Hao Tingyu protested, claiming his horse was wounded, not that he was fleeing. Li Guangbi verified his claim and gave him a new horse, sending him straight back into battle. Finally, Li Guangbi waved his flag rapidly and dropped it, signaling a full-scale assault. The Tang soldiers stormed the enemy ranks, shouting battle cries that shook the heavens. The rebels, overwhelmed, collapsed in retreat. Over 1,000 enemy troops were killed or captured, with another 1,000 drowning in the river. General Zhou Ji barely escaped with his life. Shirsiming retreats. Realizing his northern offensive had failed, Shirsiming continued attacking the southern city. Li Guangbi lined up his northern captives along the riverbank, signaling that Zhou Ji's army had been destroyed. Understanding that he was now vulnerable, Shirsiming abandoned the siege and retreated to Luoyang. For nearly 2 years, Li Guangbi successfully defended against Shirsiming's attacks. However, Emperor Suzong, under Yu Chuan's influence, insisted on launching an attack on Luoyang. Li Guangbi opposed it, knowing that the rebels were still strong. However, he was repeatedly pressured by eunuchs, forcing him into a disastrous offensive. The campaign failed, and Li Guangbi was dismissed from his command. The fall of Shirsiming. With Li Guangbi removed, Shirsiming saw an opportunity and advanced toward Chang'an. However, internal conflict erupted within his own ranks for the 3rd time. Shirsiming's own son, Shirchaoi, assassinated him. The rebel forces fractured, and by 763 CE, Shirchaoi was defeated and committed suicide. Thus ended the Anlushan Rebellion, a conflict that had devastated China for 8 years, forever remembered in history as the Anxia Rebellion. 163. Du Fu and his Poetic History. The end of the Anlushan Rebellion brought immense relief to the war-torn population, who had long suffered and yearned for peace. Among those deeply moved by the news was the renowned poet Du Fu, who had been living as a refugee in Zizhou, modern-day Santai, Sichuan. Overcome with emotion, he wept tears of joy. Du Fu's life and literary achievements. Du Fu, courtesy named Zime, was one of the greatest poets of the Tang dynasty, alongside Li Bai. In literary history, the two are often collectively referred to as Li and Du. Born in Gong County, Hunan, Du Fu came from a declining bureaucratic family. He dedicated himself to rigorous studies from a young age and traveled extensively across the empire, composing many exceptional poems. In his 30s, he met Li Bai in Luoyang. Though Li Bai was 11 years older, and their personalities were vastly different, their shared passion for poetry and deep intellectual pursuits made them close friends. Later, Du Fu traveled to Chang'an to take the imperial examination, hoping for an official position. However, at the time, the treacherous Prime Minister Li Linfu held power. Li Linfu despised scholars, fearing they would rise through the ranks and challenge his authority. He manipulated the examination process, falsely reporting to Emperor Xuanzong that none of the candidates were qualified. The emperor was puzzled, but Li Lingfu quickly followed up with a congratulatory memorial, claiming, "This proves your majesty's unparalleled wisdom. All capable men have already been appointed, and there are no hidden talents left among the common people." For scholars of that era, the imperial examination was their primary path to success. The rejection was a crushing blow to Du Fu, filling him with disappointment and resentment. He lived in poverty in Chang'an, witnessing firsthand the extravagant lifestyles of the elite and the suffering of the common people, who starved and froze on the streets. His anger at such injustices led him to express his discontent through poetry. One of his most famous lines condemns the stark inequality he observed. "Behind vermilion gates, meat and wine rot, on the streets lie bones of the frozen poor." After spending 10 years in Chang'an, Du Fu was finally granted a minor official position, but before he could assume his duties, the Anlushan rebellion erupted. As war engulfed Chang'an, countless civilians fled the capital, including Du Fu and his family, who endured unimaginable hardships before settling in a rural village. Captured by the rebels. During this period, Du Fu learned that Emperor Suzong had ascended the throne in Lingwu. Hoping to serve the new emperor, he set out to join the court. However, on the way, he was captured by the rebels and taken back to Chang'an. By this time, Chang'an had fallen to the rebels, and the city was a scene of massacre and devastation. Palaces and homes were set ablaze, and Tang officials faced a grim fate. Some surrendered, while others were escorted as prisoners to Luoyang. Because Du Fu held no significant official rank, the rebels deemed him unimportant and released him. Service under Emperor Suzong. The following year, Du Fu escaped from Chang'an and traveled to Fengxiang, modern Baoji, Shaanxi, where he finally met Emperor Suzong. By then, he was so impoverished that he wore a tattered robe with holes at the elbows and old straw sandals. Emperor Suzong, moved by Du Fu's perseverance, appointed him as a minor court official, left remonstrator, Sui. This was an advisory role, but despite receiving the title, the emperor did not actually intend to grant him real influence. However, Du Fu took his duties very seriously. Soon after, when Prime Minister Fang Guan was dismissed, Du Fu protested. He believed Fang Guan was a capable minister and should not have been removed. He submitted a petition urging the emperor to reconsider. This act of defiance angered Emperor Suzong, and Du Fu narrowly avoided severe punishment thanks to intervention from others at court. 3 officials and 3 farewells. After the Tang army reclaimed Chang'an, Du Fu followed many officials back to the capital. However, he was soon reassigned to Hua Prefecture, modern Huaxian, Shaanxi, as a minor official overseeing rituals and education. Despite his new position, he felt deeply disillusioned. Though Chang'an and Luoyang were recovered, the war was far from over. The Tang army, still engaged in fierce battles, resorted to forcibly conscripting civilians to replenish its ranks, further oppressing the common people. One evening, while traveling near Shihao village, modern Shanxian, Hunan, Du Fu sought shelter at the home of an elderly farmer and his wife. At midnight, there was a sudden loud knock at the door. Du Fu listened in silence as the farmer climbed over the back wall to escape, while his wife reluctantly opened the door. It was a group of government conscription officers who shouted, "Where is your husband?" The old woman, weeping, replied, "My 3 sons were all conscripted to fight in Yi City. Just days ago, I received a letter saying 2 of them had already perished on the battlefield. Only my daughter-in-law and a nursing grandchild remain. Who else can you take?" Despite her desperate pleas, the officers showed no mercy and forcibly took her away to serve as a laborer in the military camps. At dawn, Du Fu departed. Only the elderly farmer remained to see him off. This tragic incident deeply disturbed him. He transformed it into poetry, writing The Officials of Shihao Village, Shihaoli. During his time in Hua Prefecture, he wrote 6 similar poems, collectively known as 3 Officials and 3 Farewells. The Officials of Shihao Village. The Officials of Tong Pass. The Officials of Xianan. The New Marriage. The Farewell of the Aged. The Homeless Farewell. Because his poetry vividly depicted the suffering of the people and documented the Tang dynasty's decline, later generations referred to his works as Poetic History. Later years and death. The following year, Du Fu resigned from his post. Soon after, a devastating drought struck Guangzhou, and he fell into even greater poverty. Unable to survive, he fled with his family to Chengdu, where he relied on the support of friends. In Chengdu's western suburbs, beside Huanhua Creek, he built a simple thatched cottage, where he lived in seclusion for nearly 4 years. However, after the death of his benefactor, he lost his support system and was forced to wander eastward once again. By 770 CE, suffering from poverty and illness, Du Fu died aboard a small boat on the Xiang River. After his passing, people preserved his cottage in Chengdu to honor his legacy. This site, known as the Du Fu Thatched Cottage, remains one of the most famous literary landmarks in China today.